yourself? I'm Kathleen Carroll from Sacramento. I'm part of a statewide coalition called Voices Against Privatizing Public Education, and we are trying to take back our public schools from the profiteers. We are putting a ballot initiative to eliminate all charter schools in the state, to repeal the California Charter School Act of 1992, because after 23 years, it's pretty clear these are no longer incubators or whatever they were supposed to be, where best teaching practices was going to be brought back to the public schools and shared with all students. Over 90% of our public school students, over 6 million students, go to traditional public schools, and we should be working on improving them and not giving money to the rich. And that's, there's so many problems with charter schools. There's been incidents of embezzlement, fraud, conflicts of interest, you name it. And the reason is because they're completely deregulated. They're exempt from numerous laws like building safety code requirements. An attorney general actually came out with an opinion on this, that they were exempt from the Field Act unless they actually write it into the petition. Well, guess how many actually do that? So you see charter schools located in little churches and very unstable buildings where traditional public schools all have to comply. Administrators don't have to be licensed. I'm not just saying this. This is actually in the Charter School Act. School counselors don't have to be licensed. And the worst of all is all teachers don't have to be licensed. But in our real public schools, all teachers of record have to be licensed, whether it's an art class or whether it's a science class. And we have had enough. 23 years, $5 billion, according to the fiscal impact report developed by the Department of Finance and the LAO's office, is going to charter schools. That's our taxpayer money that is unaccountable to taxpayers. So they get bloated executive salaries, and the teachers get paid very low wages, many of which don't even get funded into their CalSTRS. But the executives, of course, they do. So it's just a two-tier, and the segregation is very intense. There's been university studies done, UCLA, Choices Without Equity, Stanford, Duke University have all done studies saying the intense segregation where more than 90% of students are either of one race, all low income. That's why they're targeting mostly the poor neighborhoods, because the parents are barely making ends meet. So they don't have time to go to school board meetings and challenge all this stuff. They're the perfect target for these inhumane people. And we say stop the humanity. There should be equal access to public education for all. All students, regardless of background, should have a quality education, not some. So these choices, the choice is selfish. The choice is for their student when 90% are being starved of funding. Is that humane? No, it's not humane. We say enough is enough.
And how have they infiltrated the bureaucracy, school boards, CTC?
Oh my God.
How has that happened?
Well, CTC is a state agency. The acronym is the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. They actually work there. They work at the California Department of Ed. People who actually have charter schools or are married to people who are working in charter school arena is actually working in the government. There's also a huge influx of, I don't know if everyone's heard of Focus on the Family, but they're extreme right Christian radical group out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and they are also, the Waltons fund them. So the Waltons are, the granddaughter of Sam Walton is on the California Charter School Association.
What's her name?
Carrie Walton Penner. She's the granddaughter of the founder of Walmart, Sam Walton. And so, the Walton family is one, Eli Broad is another. There's so many names. So Reed Hastings.
Well, Ting's son, how did you get appointed to the school board after the scandal at the CTC?
Yeah, well, you can ask Jerry Brown that question. So at the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, she had numerous conflicts. She was supposed to be the quote-unquote public member. So in the statute, in the education code, it calls for one member of the commission, or maybe it's actually 3 members of the commission, to be public members. And yet she used to work for the California Department of Ed in the charter school division. She founded a charter school with her husband, failed to disclose her husband's income on her economic interest form. She was on the board, and she has a private education consulting firm at her home. She was on the board of Magnolia Public Schools, which is a chain of charter schools in California. She was on the board of the American Board of Certified Teacher Excellence. I don't know if I have the acronym correct, which is also funded by Walmart and AT&T and other big corporations. I mean, there was numerous conflicts, and yet no one went after her. And at the time she was on the commission, they were making decisions on approving teacher preparation program in charter management organizations like Green Dot. So, I mean, it was clear conflict.
And what did Governor Brown do?
Governor Brown, after the audit came out, and they were one of the worst agencies, Elaine Howell, who was a state auditor at the time, still is a state auditor, said it was one of the worst agencies she audited. After she left the commission, she's now on the State Board of Education, appointed by Governor Jerry Brown. So we know where Jerry Brown stands.
And you think you're going to get support for this repeal?
We're already getting support. It's been great. Today here in Oakland, we were marching, so it was a little hard to get signatures as we were moving along several blocks, but we did get some. And you know, we got a lot of people who came up to us and wanted to participate, and that's really how it's going to happen, is the domino effect. So us gathering signatures, other people gathering signatures, the word getting out. We have people up and down the state working on this. We have people calling right and left. So I feel good about it because regardless of what happens, we're doing the right thing. I mean, my father used to say to me that everyone has, you know, kind of a responsibility to try to make society a better place. And I feel that all of us involved in this organization trying to take back our public schools from profiteers and really inhumane people, we're all trying to make society a better place, not just for us, but for future generations.
What is this co-location? What is that all about?
Co-locations is a serious problem with the charter school industry. They are literally taking space in a physical building with a traditional public school. And in many instances, they're taking space that's being used. And there's a lot of fights going on between the traditional schools and the charter schools, and over resources, over space, over a lot of things. It's gotten very ugly, and unfortunately the law says you know, the districts have to give them space, but you know, to do it in some of these schools is kind of crazy, because there are a lot of buildings that are actually just vacant. So yeah, so it's basically sharing space in a traditional public school with a charter school. They're co-locating literally.
And the CTA and CFT, what should they be doing?
They should be using their money to be fighting the charter schools and be supporting the repeal, because they were out here today and talking about the common enrollment. Well, the common enrollment wouldn't be, you know, common enrollment, the money, all the venture fund, all the rich, all the Walton family money and everything else that they complained about today, it wouldn't be a problem if we repeal it. Then we're cutting it out. No more. Let's work on other things. Let's improve our public schools. Do they need improving? Yes. But they're being drained of funds. And I don't remember the quote by Noam Chomsky, but there's a great quote where he said, when they want to privatize the public commons, they drain the funds, they create chaos, they create instability. So then, yeah, then they can say, look it's failing. Well, that's what they're doing with our public schools. They've drained funds, they've created chaos, they created division. So then they turn around, and what does the media do? Because the media is part of it too, is they're saying, oh, they're failing. Yeah, they're failing because they're being stripped of resources. I mean, it's pretty, you know, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that out.
Okay, thank you. And your website?
We're on Facebook at Voices Against Privatizing Public Education. We have a blog on WordPress called no-to-charterschools.wordpress.com. Come out, support us, send us a message if you want to help, and we need all the help we can get. So let's take back our public schools, not just for this generation and the next, but all generations, because public education is here to stay. We're not going to let the rich take it away from us. I'm up in Sacramento. I decided you know, to just flip on the news, doing some other work, and all of a sudden on our NBC affiliate KCRA, one of the broadcasters said at Folsom Cordova Unified School District, they're thinking about bringing back Bring Your Bible to School Day. And I almost fell off my couch thinking, bring it back. I didn't even know they would allow such a thing. There is such a thing as separation of church and state. So I said to myself, I'm just going to Google it. Something's got to be wrong. Maybe, Edie Lambert was her name. Maybe she, the script was off or something. Who knows? So I Googled it, and sure enough, I see all this hoopla last year about Bring Your Bible to School Day. It went out to 20,000 parents. Literally, a letter went out to them by some third-party vendor called Peach Jar Inc., which is headquartered in San Diego. And I started, just Googling the whole thing, and it was sponsored by Focus on Family, which is a major radical right-wing Christian end-of-lifer organization. I mean, they're real extremists. They associate homosexuality with pedophilia. They're very bigoted against African Americans. I mean, if you either believe the way they interpret the Bible, or you're evil and don't deserve to be on this planet. I mean, that's how we're talking really sick people. And so I was just dumbfounded beyond belief. And so I asked, I said, well, so how in the world could you possibly think that Bring Your Bible to School Day is not a violation of separation of church and state? And they literally said that they felt that they couldn't discriminate against Christians. Again, holding myself and not trying to fall over. I'm saying discriminate. I tried to be calm about it, but I wasn't calm. I said discrimination and separation of church and state are two totally different things. In fact, one is in our Constitution, U.S. and state, and the other is statutory, which is the discrimination laws. And I'm thinking to myself, do they have a lawyer? Maybe they need some help up there at this district. I don't know. And
so this was a publicly funded school?
Oh, this is a public school district.
Bring
your Bible to school day. And the worst part is they got personal contact information of parents' email addresses to email, and numerous parents were outraged, saying this is outrageous. And a lot of parents knew Focus on the Family was this very extreme, organization, end-of-lifer, extreme right Christian group that is very bigoted and very discriminatory. And the atheists turned around and said, well, we'll teach them, we'll go to the school district and we'll have them announce our Atheist Day and organize that through the district to go to the Capitol and have an Atheist Day. And I'm thinking, my God, what has the world become? And I'm sure...
And the Gulen thing too. I mean, there are these cults that have taken over.
It's gotten really bad. This element of these extreme Christian right groups who, they're taking, man interpretation, man or woman, whatever, interpretation of the Bible in this extreme way, and it's actually hurting people. I mean, any type of extreme form of, political belief or religious belief ends up harming people, and these people are real bigoted. And all you have to do is, look up Focus on Family, Google it, and you will see a lot written about them. So it's really unfortunate. I mean, it is, I called someone I know in San Diego because a lot of religious stuff was happening in San Diego County that I was told about in the school systems. And I said, just off the chance that she's heard of it, I said, have you ever heard of Bring Your Bible to School Day? And she said, oh yeah, calmly. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. And I'm thinking, God, I'm really out of touch here. And I've been following a lot of stuff regarding this privatization agenda. But one of the agendas is that the extreme religious groups could not give up on the idea of vouchers to use for religious schools. And so they're using charter schools for this. And they are teaching religious curriculum. I mean, we have a person in San Diego and Escondido who literally saw curriculum. And then now up in Sacramento County, this Bring Your Bible to School Day. And not only that, I was told there was material that, the parents were being sent. And the parent information, keep in mind, this is private information. Normally, if the parents are notified of something, the students, the pupils, are given a flyer, and then the flyer is brought home in their backpacks or whatever in their hands, and they bring it to the parents when they bring it home, and they could just toss it in the garbage. Now the school district is giving this third-party vendor, Peach Jar Inc., private email information of parents, so the emails go out to all these parents, and a lot of parents were very upset. There was a huge backlash. Thank goodness. I mean, because religion of any kind doesn't belong in the public school system. It just doesn't. I mean, it's unconstitutional, it's wrong, and this is happening, and it's absolutely outrageous. It's got to stop.